paddy works on the railway. In 1842 from Hartlepool I moved to Crewe, found myself a job to do, working on the railway.
Hello. Today we're going to talk about funnel prevention, i.e. measuring the thickness of the wood off the bowl whilst it's on the lathe to make sure you don't find the bottom before you intend to. There's several methods. We're going to cover 3 of them, and in fact a third one I'm going to make in this video. Now, the first method is calipers, something like this. These I particularly like because they fit just about everything you can think of, really. But in turning a bowl, the short arm will fit between the jaws of the chuck and register against the bottom of the bowl. You've got to be aware of whether you've got a tenon on or a mortise, because the mortise goes right into the middle and bring it as far forward as you can. If it's a tenon, just put it inside the chuck and go from there. Zoom in on that a bit. So you can see this would be on the back of the bowl, this would be inside the bowl. This particular one I like because it's got a screw mechanism here. Whatever thickness it comes out at, you set the screw so it's just touching, take it out, and you can clearly see how much timber is left in your bowl. This bowl's got a long way to go yet. That, to be quite honest, is my preferred method most of the time. The second option I'm going to go through is the Beckett custom depthometer. This is not a Beckett custom depthometer, as you can tell. However, this is after much espionage and shenanigans. This was discovered and made by me. This is actually a small depth gauge in the centre, which I got from Procraft. Undo the screw, move the bar. It's actually got measurements on it if you want them, but not really necessary for this job. And this is used, so imagine this roll of tape as our bowl. You put this up against the bowl, you press to each side of the bowl, and you push this in until it touches the bottom. Then you take it out and you put it on the edge. Push that a bit further, we've got a bit more than that. And you eyeball it to see what depth you've got left. It's effective. It works. However, they're very hard to get hold of because Mark only makes these for his friends, which is why Terry, Bray and myself have never managed to get hold of one, despite placing orders years in advance. But it's a simple thing. Piece of wood wide enough to go across the rim of a bowl and a slide. It doesn't have to be this particular thing, you could just drill a hole and put a dowel through or something. Easy to make. One drawback is if you're doing a live edge bowl, you've got to measure the outside in the same place as the inside, otherwise it's going to be wrong. It's a recommended method. It works. It's good. There's a third method. I'm going to call that the Clasper. The one that Wayne uses is based on a piece of wood against the headstock of the lathe, which is the same size as the distance to the chuck jaws, the front of the chuck jaws. Now this has the advantage of being accurate whether you're using a tenon or a mortise, because if it's a mortise it will account for that. Now I don't have one of those, but again, after much espionage and something like that, I figured out how to make one. So that's what I'm going to do in today's video. And as I've got the O'Donnell jaws on, we'll start with that. Now this is an improvement over the Clasper Mk5 because the idea of my version is 2 pieces of wood will do every chuck. The Clasper Mk5 has a different piece of wood for this inside piece for each set of jaws that you're going to use. It's a flat piece of plywood, rectangle, which in my workshop will almost definitely be picked up when I need something in a hurry and cut into a different shape, and then I have to make another one. I'm hoping to come up with something that is universal, will work with every set of jaws, and will only have 2 components which will be obviously meant to be together. So, how am I going to do that? First of all, I need to measure every chuck I've got. Don't need to do this, but I'm going to. There is another way of using this later on. So, that's my SK114 with O'Donnell's. My Patriot. Oh, by the way, I'm just using 2 squares, one up against the jaw. Make a mark. There's a Patriot with the ripple jaws from Charmwood. And finally, my little Rackle Power SC2 with its dovetail jaws. Unsurprisingly, is the smallest reach of all. Now, if you're sensible, you'll only use 1 or 2 chucks for this. So, whichever of these marks you need, you will take a cut a piece of board to fit it back against a headstock of that size, and you'll keep them somewhere handy and safe. I'm not sensible, and I want one that will fit every chuck I've got with only 2 pieces of wood, and even that I'm suspect of, so I'll try and solve that problem as well. You don't need to do exactly the same as this, and I'll show you in the end when I've made it that you don't actually need any of these pieces at all, but we'll come back to that in a minute. First cuts I'm going to make, and the first piece of wood I'm going to work with is the base plate back. I'm marking the shortest, which is my SC2, and then I'm going to rotate my piece of wood and I'm going to make a mark the thickness of my wood there. Obviously this is recovered plywood from something else. I'm not going to film the sawing, there's no point. If you can't use your own saw, then don't make this. So there's my first piece cut. Width of the lathe bed, because why not? It could be narrower, as long as it registers back against a headstock, that's all you need. But I've gone for the width of the lathe bed. Piece of wood 2. Now, you don't have to laser this on. Pencil marks will do just fine. But you know, I got a laser, so I did. And piece of wood 3. And they go together. So this is down on the lathe bed. This is sat on top of it. So that this bit will move in and out once it's all attached together. Anyway, So once this is all attached together, all I'm going to do, where's the camera gone? Bit of Type Bond. This is actually Type Bond 2 in a Type Bond 3 container because I bought a large container of Type Bond 2, and yeah, it's easier to decant than it is to just use the big one all the time. So put that together, bit of glue, couple of brads, and then come back to you. It's worth checking at this stage that everything does line up properly as you expect it to. So all we've got to do now is put a guide on either side of this, and then an adjustment screw in the middle. And plywood isn't the optimal material for doing this job because it's a bit rough and a bit catchy, but it's good enough. That's the offcut I picked up, so that's what I'm using. It's got a glue on there. The important bit is to line up the front, because that's the register against which the lines will be working. Line up the front. Don't squeeze it too tight. You want it to move in a bit. I can help that with a bit of wax. A couple of brads just to hold it while the glue dries. The next thing I'm going to need is a hole and a slot. So I can put a screw through it, and when it's tightened up it'll hold it in place. When it's loosened you can move it. So I could put a slot in the top piece or the bottom piece. Perhaps unwisely I'm going to go for the bottom piece. Now, if you've got a router table, you could do this tidier. All I'm going to do is cut the slot with a bandsaw and then fill in the very back of it just to hold it together with a little bit of wood and a bit of glue. I had to make one of these. Didn't particularly want one of these, but it stops the bolt from spinning when you tighten it up, so might as well. So the next job is get wax on all this moving parts. Keep it sweet. Just using lubricating wax, but any wax will do. I have this for my lathe thread, so I might as well use it here. It works well. So, what jaws I'm using, what chuck I'm using. Adjust it out, tighten it up. There you go. So that's that end. Now I've got to do the other end. Okay, so the back piece. Now the theory behind this is it has to be as long as you want to go in depth. So if you're just doing bowls, then 4 inches is probably big enough. If you want to do vases and test with this, it needs to be a bit bigger. I'm looking at this also storing this so that they connect together. We're working on that one. So basically I've got an upright here and then a measuring device that comes exactly level with the front of this and gives me enough space to get inside a vessel. So that's what I'm working on. Bit of a progress update. I'm on the bandsaw a lot, so a lot of it's not filmed. But I know a broomstick is ridiculous, but I had it knocking about. So that's there. That measures the centre. And that goes on to this piece. So all I've got to do now is come up with a ridiculously over-engineered way of connecting that to that, and we should be good. So there you have it. The Clasper Mk5 final preventer. If that's touching that, you've gone through. If that's 5mm from that, you've got 5mm left. This gap here is what you want to measure, and that tells you where you are. And what's more, it's fully adjustable. If I move it out to there and change chuck, so I'm currently in my Patriot with the ripple jaws on it. And that's why I've got the set jaw on here. Same is true. If it's touching, you've gone through. If it's not touching, that's how much wood you've got left in the bottom of the bowl. Now then, there is a way. If Mark's chuck makes a guest appearance here and I've got different jaws, it's quite simple. And just so it doesn't register with any of the marks I've got, I'm going to put this chuck on halfway. Loosen that off, put a steel rule across there, bring that up till it touches the steel rule, and adjust out so that they're touching, and the same rule applies. So that's it. My over-engineered but fun to make depth gauge, bowl depth gauge. I'll probably remake this. Rim handle was a bit silly. That drops into there. Got a hole through there, so I can hang it on the wall and it becomes a biscuit shelf in between times. Double purpose. Job done. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up please, most appreciated. Subscribe if you're not, that's also appreciated. And see you on the next one. Cheers for now.